A hurricane watch will likely be issued for portions of our East Coast later this evening. Public schools in Palm Beach, Martin, and St. Lucie counties are closed tomorrow. Evacuation orders going out after tomorrow afternoon, and more than 20 American Red Cross shelters will open for the 300,000 Palm Beach County residents living in evacuation and flood zones.
I'll start off by reminding you that Broward County schools will be closed Thursday and Friday, and all events will be canceled.
It's going to be trying times before we know it. Hopefully not. Hopefully we avoid it. We might just get that lucky.
Storm shelters in Palm Beach County will open Thursday at 2 p.m. So if you don't have any place to go and you want to be safe, if your home isn't safe and you're by the water, make sure you head out there to Palm Beach and Broward, Dade. Palm Beach schools are closed.
Miami, take this real serious, man. We got to be out there very careful. I know, Miami's a party city, but at the end of the day, you have to make sure your family's straight and you're safe, you know what I'm saying? Because the weather, the wind, the rain, you never know what can pop off, because it's safe to say it can get popping.
A little different this morning. Glad to have you waking up with us as we continue to prepare for Hurricane Francis. And from Storm Center 25 WPBF TV, our TV partner all over this thing, Felicia Rodriguez is with us this morning. They have the latest advisory from the National Hurricane Center. Felicia, what's up?
Good morning. Yeah, the 8 a.m. advisory, dangerous Category 4 Francis pounding the southeast Bahamas this morning, heading toward the central Bahamas, currently located some 470 miles east-southeast of Palm Beach. She is getting closer, and finally this morning the National Hurricane Center doing something they weren't willing to do yesterday. They are calling for landfall now in either South Florida or East Central Florida within the next 48 hours. And if you look at that forecast track that we've been showing you in that cone of uncertainty, since yesterday that cone has now dipped a little bit further to the west, and that track a little bit further south than yesterday. Yesterday it looked more like Indian River or Brevard County, perhaps for a possible landfall. This morning, though, it's looking either like northern Palm Beach County, Martin, St. Lucie County at this point. Now, the storm, as I mentioned, packing winds of 145 miles per hour. The latest coordinates, if you've been following this system, 23.2 degrees north, 73.5 degrees west, moving towards the west-northwest near 13 miles per hour. So it has slowed down just a little bit, but it is expected to stay on that track for the next 24 hours. And it looks like we are going to have this major storm just off to our east coast come 2 a.m. Saturday. And if it stays on this track, we're looking at a very early Saturday morning landfall. Get what you need to get today, because tomorrow morning, get those shutters up, because tomorrow morning will be too late. We're expecting tropical storm force winds by tomorrow afternoon, and it looks like if it stays on this track, we could see hurricane force winds as early as late tomorrow night.
How far out from the eye do hurricane force winds extend?
That eye itself is a pretty big eye, 30 miles wide, and from that center of the storm, hurricane force winds extend out about 80 miles, tropical storm force winds 185 miles. So it's likely as this storm moves closer to us, I mean, it is going to impact a much larger area across Florida than Charlie did,
right,
because of the size of the storm.
And just to let you know, the National Weather Service has officially issued a hurricane warning for Broward, Martin, Palm Beach, and St. Lucie and Indian River as well. So that calls for some mandatory evacuations. And if you are in an area, then just cooperate with the officials, and hopefully you've gotten your preparations pretty much done. Shelters, by the way, should only be used as a last resort if you live within an evacuation area or a mobile home. It's imperative that you evacuate in time to avoid traffic congestion. It's right now, the hurricane is about 450 miles east-southeast of Palm Beach, and the latest coordinates show that it took a slight turn to the north. So it's kind of aimed more towards the St. Lucie County area. But officials are saying not to pay too much attention to the eye and where it's directed, because this is such a huge storm. Hurricane force winds extend 80 miles from the center of the storm, so it's going to cover a huge area when it does make landfall at approximately 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. Of course, we'll feel the effects of the hurricane long before that.
The 8 o'clock update, Francis is now latitude 24.3 north, longitude 75.1 west, traveling west-northwest at 9 miles per hour.
Just suffice it to say the storm is still a Category 3. It was downgraded from a Category 4 overnight. Packing winds of 120 miles an hour. The track is pretty much where it's been, still moving toward the coast of Florida. And it could, it could weaken, it could strengthen. We just don't know. Still no specific area where it might make landfall. But it looks like the eye is expected to make landfall at the current speed of 9 miles per hour, moving to the north-northwest sometime tomorrow, late morning, early afternoon. That's what the story is at this point.
And as they mentioned, the eye is not as, it's a little bit clouded over, not as clear as it was before.
That's good.
And it is showing signs of weakening, but then it has to pass from those waters, over all of the little islands. Getting here is very warm water in the Gulf Stream.
It sure is, like up in the upper 80s. So
exactly.
There's plenty of fuel for it to rebuild. We just have to really stay on our toes, finish our last-minute preparations. If you're still working on preparing for the storm, the good news is we have a little more time. I mean, yesterday we were talking that we would be dealing with this a lot earlier, sometime today or tonight.
Some of those tropical storm force winds would hit about now,
and it looks like
that's been pushed back a little bit. But it's been pretty amazing. I think everyone has really heeded all the warnings. It's been the largest evacuation in the state of Florida, with some 2.5 million people in our Sunshine State have been told to evacuate.
How do you feel about this storm, Marky?
Well, to tell you the truth, Miss Moneypenny, I'm actually not too worried.
Not too worried?
Nah, not really. I mean, granted, we still don't know where it's going to go yet, but I don't know. I just don't have the feeling it's going to, come and hit us directly. Could be wrong, I've been known to be wrong.
So where's your loved ones, your daughter?
Actually, my loved ones, Kimberly is in Tampa at this moment. So those like Donna, Anthony, Dexter, Sammy, Ginger, and Kimmy all packed up and decided they were going to go and just do their trip and then come back and, well, not come back, just stay up there, and see what the hurricane does. That way they'd already be over on the West Coast. Me, on the other hand, I came from the Panhandle yesterday and drove down here like an idiot, but which is cool because there was a bunch more things at the house that I thought it would be cool to secure. The roof blew off or something, But aside from that, now we've done all we can. We're just hanging around, waiting.
Francis is now moving west-northwest near 9 miles an hour. We did have it moving northwest before, so it's made a slightly left turn, or it could be just a slight bobble in the actual direction.
Yeah, because it's been wobbling, for 18 hours, right?
Right, and the storm is going to wobble because it is moving so slow.
Okay, and where's the eye right now? Is it over land?
Yeah, the eye is over the southern tip of Great Abaco in the Bahamas. It's about 200 miles east-southeast of Florida.
Justin?
Yeah.
Are these windows like laminated glass?
Actually, they're about 3/4 of an inch thick. They're basically bulletproof.
Oh, we're pretty safe then.
Right now, the storm is pummeling the Bahamas. Strong winds and serious storm surge. There are power outages and flooding there. Ted Scouten of our Miami station, WFOR, is in the Bahamas with more.
The angry ocean splashes onto shore as the winds from Francis begin to blow into Nassau overnight. Tropical storm force winds blew through Nassau, battering buildings and bending trees.
Of this storm. Earlier in the week, it looked like we were going to see landfall perhaps early Friday into Friday evening. And of course, the more this storm slows down, the longer it will take for it to get here. And of course, we're already seeing those outer rain bands, but those tropical storm force winds extend out from the center some 200 miles. So this storm still, the center of this storm still a long way off, about 145 miles east of West Palm Beach.
Here we are on the usually crowded Interstate 95 on a Friday night. As you can see, not a car in sight, totally deserted.
There's like stuff falling down from the tree right there. Best show in the world right here. Inside seats.
Oh man. How far away is it for Chris?
It's just offshore. If I draw a line, there's the leading edge of the rainfall, and this is where the strongest winds are, up around Vero and Sebastian. And the radar loop, if you watch this, it is moving closer to Sebastian, the Disney resort, and down into Vero Beach.
230 units, which are extremely vulnerable. We're up to probably 70 miles an hour now, and even the owner is very concerned that once we get up around 90, if we do here, things could start coming apart.
Water runs deep, and a lot deeper than you can tell from the surface. On occasion, the underlying structure, you might think there's a gutter there or a curb there, and in actual fact, it's been washed away.
We have heavy rain all the way from about Port St. Lucie, down across Belglade now, and right into Broward County. Moderate rainfall from Fort Pierce up into Sebastian and Vero Beach. And watch the radar loop. This storm is just not moving very much at all, and maybe developing a little bit of an eye inside the larger eye, which the Hurricane Center said was 70 miles wide. So what eventually happened to this?
It just kept going down the intercoastal.
And so you just lost sight of it?
Yeah, we lost sight of it.
Really?
So I don't know.
Wow.
I mean, my guess is, you know, if you've got yourself a boat and salvage laws hold up, you've got yourself a nice boat.
There might be broken glass or broken shards of wood or siding under the water. Stay out of the water if you can avoid it at all.
The eye of the storm is huge. It's now 70 miles across, and that brings us several problems to light. Typical storms have a much smaller eye, probably 30 miles across, but with a 70-mile diameter eye, a much greater section of the coastline, a much greater section of this viewing area watching TV right now, listening to us on the radio, will be impacted by the worst of the winds with this storm. Now, max sustained winds only 105. Again, we're gusting well over hurricane force in many parts of the area already. The next 6 to 8 hours, the way we see it, is probably going to be the worst time before that eye starts to get close enough to move inland, and we see in parts of the area the wind starting to settle down. So especially late this afternoon is what we're expecting for the worst of the winds to move on through.
And they're still using figures anywhere from, say, 6 to plus 20 inches of potential rainfall from the storm. So anytime you're talking about 1 to 2 feet of water basically coming from the sky, you're talking about a lot of potential flooding.
We were outside for a very long time, actually. We got different shots of signs that had fallen, lights that had fallen down. The wind is really intensified up here. It's, I would say, just a guesstimate, easily being between 40 and 50 mile per hour winds.
Currently, we are under a curfew for the entire county, and the St. Lucie County Sheriff's Office, as well as the Fort Pierce Police Department, have stopped responding to calls. We really need to take seriously this storm, its impact on our lives, its impact on our communities. Individuals really need to just remain calm, stay in their homes, and just be safe.
We're catching some pretty good gusts. This is all right.
My yard is like completely covered in tree branches. I had a big tree, a big bark of a tree knocked down where I tried to pick it up, you know, to have it recorded on the camcorder. I don't know if you can hear the wind or not, but this is how bad it is out here, and I'm trying to stand still.
Yeah, we certainly hear that. Maria, where are you in relation to the water?
I live off on Roslyn Avenue off of US 1 at Fort Pierce.
I think it was about 2.5 years ago. They had a Class 1 hurricane roll into Tampa. Yeah. So the hurricane and I met head on in Tampa. And you know, it was like 70 miles an hour sustained, gusting to about 85 or 90. And the truck's whipping all over the place, and I got one dinky ass little pallet of wine on it. Nothing, you know what I mean? So I got this big 24-foot sail truck that's empty, you know, so you can imagine how I'm getting blown around. But the time that I was really, really scared was when it came time to cross the bridge, to go from Tampa to St. Pete.
Yeah.
And there was nothing around to slow the wind down.
Yeah.
I mean, a 90 mile an hour gust from the side was just like, it was unbelievable. And I'm watching the wind go like down the road. I wouldn't go over 25 miles an hour and nobody would pass me. The wind was picking the truck up. I was in the middle and it would shove me all the way over to the left. It'd pick me up, shove me all the way over to the right. And then you get across the span that goes up about 50 feet in the air to go across. I'm just like...
It could have picked you up right off the bridge.
I swear to you, I thought I was going in the bay. I was scared. I think that was the time I was most frightened in my whole life, was at that moment. I'm just going, I'm going to die here on this bridge today.
We knew this was going to happen in a strong storm, that we were going to lose power. So this is the reality that we're in now. We still have some people who are watching us, but a good chunk of South Florida is now without power.
Oh, man. Well, power's out.
Power's out?
Power's out.
Oh, man. That's it. We're going to start sweating.
To begin with, and normally that might not be too bad of a problem if the waves are crashing in there. The problem is those waves are going to be crashing in there for hours and hours.
But as far as this county is concerned, what they're most worried about is just the duration of the storm. That this thing lasts for 13, 14 hours, even longer than that, even though they're not getting sustained hurricane force winds, the cumulative effect of all these gusts and all the lower level winds will really create a lot of damage and a massive cleanup over the next few days of all the trees down, power lines, and things like that. And the people around here are just weary of this. They want to get on with their lives, as everybody in Miami-Dade and Broward counties wants to do as well. Jose, back to you.
Ari, thank you very much for that live report. A lot of sounds coming out of that.
And a good reminder, he was saying that storm had been downgraded in that area. They weren't receiving as heavy winds, and so just a good reminder of what we could have been in for farther south. And of course, the big question, a lot of people have been calling in saying, well, what exactly is the storm doing now? Where is it going to be?
Yeah, and why is it moving so slowly? Let's go right over to John Giraldi with some of those answers to some of those questions. Johnny.
Well, guys, one of the reasons, the big reason is, the reason why it's not moving all that fast is we don't have any upper level winds to push it. So it would be as though you're standing there with no force on you. We need something to come along and kick it, and it looks like slowly but surely it should be moving out of here. We would have to say by later tomorrow into the next day. So we have quite a few more hours to deal with it. Of course, this thing is spinning on in, and hopefully it'll be making landfall probably sometime later tonight into early tomorrow morning. And then after that, we'll notice by the afternoon, everything gradually, I mean gradually, tapering off.
It's getting pretty damn humid in here right now.
That's true. You know, and you'd think for as much wind is blowing outside that we'd have a breeze through here, but it's just not happening.
It's a fortress.
Those bulletproof windows for you.
Fire up the charcoal grill. Got some Kingsford.
Yeah, it's true.
Nothing like lighting a match in a 90-mile-an-hour breeze.
Yeah, no problem. If we can only get it to light and stay lit. Oh man.
Yeah.
I think we should probably dig
Bust
into
it
some
out
canned
tomorrow.
food stuff first.
Try not to open the freezer or fridge very often. Try to keep the cool in there.
Good idea.
Exactly.
We'll keep the hot side hot and the cool side cool. You know,
There you go.
like they used to say at McDonald's about the McDLT. Oh, McDonald's, doesn't that sound good right now?
Ooh, that does.
That's really sad.
Great for the colon. Thank God the plumbing still works.
Oh man.
That looks pretty good.
You want one?
Yeah, sure.
Get you one too.
Nothing else better to do.
Tequila and some margarita mix. And this is required equipment for any hurricane. You know, got to keep the booze flowing.
The hurricane came inside.
Well, thank you for dinner, guys. Here.
Big time.
It has still not been officially determined when the evacuation order is going to be lifted for Broward County and when the folks in the shelters are going to be allowed to go home, although Mayor Lieberman said once that the order is lifted, they will have adequate bus service to return folks to their homes from the shelters. Meantime, in Miami-Dade County, we got late word from County Manager George Burgess, who is speaking to the press right now, that the evacuation order will be lifted as of 10 o'clock this morning, and folks will be allowed to leave the shelters at 10 this morning. And Francis continues to be a very slow-moving hurricane, although the winds have dropped to what, 95 miles an hour, Susan?
Yes. And Mayor, you wrote it out at the EOC last night? That's right. The city of Boca Raton has its own emergency operations center, and we did stay here through the night to monitor the situation, and now we have it fully staffed, and people are bringing in reports of the damage. We have had our crews out since 5 a.m., and we are also calling in the city's contractors to come in and do debris cleanup.
A few things to think about after the storm. When you return to your home, if you've left it, or if you stay home, move slowly and thoughtfully until you are familiar with any damage that may have happened. And don't get upset when you see the wreckage. Your safety and that of your family is certainly the most important thing to keep in mind through all of this, and keep a level head. And find the fire extinguisher before you turn on the power when that comes back on. And stay away from all downed power lines and water puddles near downed or damaged lines. Always keep close supervision on your children. And piling debris near power poles may hinder repairs, so keep that in mind as well. And don't drink any tap water until officials have announced that it's safe to drink. It could well be contaminated. And driving should be avoided because of traffic and debris and road blockage. You don't know what's in the road, especially if there's local flooding. And be aware of and obey any curfews that might be in effect in the case of severe damage.
Francis Track is disturbing if you have family to the north. That's because Francis will re-intensify in the warm waters of the Gulf of Mexico. This storm is just annoying and nobody likes it, and I wish it would go away, and it will, but unfortunately it'll continue over many areas of the continental U.S., including either affecting Georgia or Alabama.
We're told they're not going to do power restoration today as much as assessment of the damage to try to figure out how big of a job this is that lies ahead of them. I can tell you on the drive over here, most of the stoplights were out. Many of the companies with normally lit up signs were just completely black. And we have heard that millions have lost power in this hurricane, so it looks as though it's going to be quite a task.
Water and ice are on the way from Jacksonville, courtesy of the state, but it has not arrived yet.
Sample Road and 441.
And they have ice.
There's a Walmart there.
While it lasts.
They have gas and ice there, okay? A valued commodity. Gas and ice at the Walmart at Sample Road and 441.
Good news is that there is relief on the way as far as gasoline.
Just be patient a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You got shutters on your house?
No, I'm in an apartment and we did good.
At all intersections, we're seeing people blow by intersections that previously there was either a stop sign or a red light. They're talking, they're a little anxious to get home, they go flying by there. All intersections, if they could maintain a stop, a four-way stop, that would help tremendously. I know we had 2 serious accidents last night. Please, intersection, stop, look both ways, and then proceed. Look at that, South Beach hopping again. Live pictures tonight from a hot spot on the beach that's looking way different than it did just a couple of days ago.
Quite a similar scene in Fort Lauderdale. Live pictures from Las Olas Boulevard, where residents are getting out again after the storm.
Hurricane Francis caused widespread damage across the state and the 35 counties we serve. Our progress has been steady, and although we have restored power to more than 2 million customers, that's little consolation if you're still without power. We know that many of your lives have been turned upside down, and that having electrical service is important for you and your communities to return to normalcy and to ensure the health and welfare of you and your families.
If your home was damaged, they'll bring someone out to look at it, and there will be financial support coming in terms of rent relief and also for property loss if you're, below a certain income level.
But the problem is they need the generators now, and a guy who's sitting there with a family to go out and buy a generator, he didn't have that money
Absolutely.
to spend if he doesn't know he's going to get it back, and we can't find out.
The bigger issue is how quickly can the power come on. Have you guys given out the toll-free number for FP&L that now has
about 1,000 times?
But the problem is the toll-free number with FPL is if you call them up and where's my power, everybody gets the same date as when your power is going to be restored.
The 19th of September.
Right, and our listeners are indicating to us, Governor, and this is not a criticism, but just an observation. Rich and I have been on the air all week long. We've been taking thousands and thousands of calls. We're covering a 4-county area with these signals. And the frustration is that you call the number and you get no answers, you get nothing, and they're frustrated. That's what the problem is with the audience right now.
I don't blame them for being frustrated, not having power and being hit by a storm and having their property lost. And I'll take whatever criticisms y'all want to ferret out. All I can tell you, sir, is that we are working at warp speed. There are people working 24 hours a day almost in these places around the state to provide relief.
Yeah, but let me ask you a specific question. Are you going today to help Martin County get their lift stations back in order? They're in desperate need today.
I'll do my best, sir.
My husband and I are seniors. We live in an adult senior complex. I'm on oxygen. My husband is in a wheelchair. Our roof flew off. All the shingles are gone completely.
Oh.
The ceiling is leaking
Yeah.
to the upper apartments, and the ceilings look like they're going to fall down any minute.
You need to go find a neighbor or somebody else in Century Village that fared better than you. Get to know them real well, because you're going to want to shack up with them for a little while.
Backup sounds good.
Okay.
But unfortunately, most of the men my age have no equipment that works.
Okay, well, bye-bye now.
Is the Van Halen concert canceled?
We can check on that, and I'm sure all of us are concerned about Sammy and the boys.
For a family with a new baby who needs to be hooked up to a heart monitor, and they need a generator desperately.
Oh,
I ran out and I stopped the FPL truck. Both of them were very nice. They're from out of state. They showed me the map. I don't exist.
We lost our power on September 3rd at 9:28 a.m. Some of the plants had their power back as of Sunday night. We still haven't gotten anything.
My neighbors across the street have power.
And you don't.
I'd like to know if the water is safe to drink now.
I called early in the week. We had lost our power at 6 o'clock on Friday morning.
Right.
First wind.
You're one of the first people to lose power. Congratulations.
Right. Well, I'd like to report we are still without power.
I sort of tore my life apart on my own right before the hurricane. I've been staying in a battered women's shelter, and they're great, and they've been helping me a lot.
All right.
Then the hurricane came, and the shelter closed down because of water and power,
All right.
and all of the help that was available to me is basically dried up.
All right.
On top of this, I had an accident, and I broke 3 teeth off at the gum line.
She needs some dental work.
Okay,
My husband has COPD, and we had a generator that would run 2 hours, and then we had to put more gas in it.
Yep.
It was really old, and it just poop out. And we wondered if somebody would let us use or give us a generator until our lights come on.
I'm calling because I'm disabled, and I had heard that a gentleman had called and said he had a generator.
Their house burned down last Wednesday.
I'm
they lost
so sorry.
everything.
Oh, goodness.
They're staying at a Red Cross shelter here in Okeechobee. We still don't have electricity in our house in Okeechobee, and we like them to come stay with us so they don't have to stay in the shelter, but we don't have a generator.
I live in Lake Worth. We just recently got our power back.
Oh, yay.
Okay, we have Palm Springs water, and I want to know if we still have to boil it or not.
Number one, I want to see if anybody had any tarps. It's going to be at least another week or so before we have power.
The lady earlier, her name was Laura, and has a heart problem and all the other things, and her house was full of mold, and she had the dog and the puppies. Well, I will take the dogs. I have a little bit of information. People are calling in worried about their insulin not being on ice or refrigerated. It can be at room temperature for 30 days, if not more, and it is still good.
So I'm going to have a bunch of furniture for some of these people who've been displaced.
Next week, I'm going to have my truck at Red Border. I have a Jeep, and anybody needs anything, just send me somewhere, or anywhere I can report tomorrow. I'd be glad to help.
Well, I was wondering if I could find out if there's anybody out there needing some work, maybe help put up antennas. Antennas went down kind of like trees, some of them.
For the rest of you, you just need to know there is a man out there who wrote a check for $5,000, and we're going to get some baby stuff.
And also, I have a nebulizer. It's when you plug in. If somebody needs it, they're more than welcome to it. And also, I would like to offer my laundry service. I have power. I have hot water.
Just thought I'd call you and let you know. It's kind of interesting. I don't know if they're heading our way. It sure looks like it. But I've seen like 2 or 3 big convoys of just various utility trucks. Look like funeral processions heading east.
Man, if you need anything, you go over there and you talk to the manager at Publix, and they will do whatever they can to help you.
I was calling because I got a whole bunch of toys and kids' books for donation. I don't know if somebody want to pick them up.
I'm calling to offer, I don't know if anyone's lost their job permanently due to the storm, but the company I work for has a position open. I have like 2 boxes of the 4 gallons of water.
Okay.
Over here, I've had electric, and I don't need it. And I also would like to offer my services if someone needs for me to take them somewhere. I can do that.
I wanted to take this opportunity to thank FP&L and all the other contractors that have assisted them in getting everybody's power back on. We have been without power since the start of the hurricane, and we got power just minutes ago. And these guys, my hat's off to them, man. There is light at the end of the tunnel, and everybody keep their chin up, man.
2 American Red Cross trucks. One got out and bought my son ice cream, which I thought that was very nice. He didn't have to do it. I insisted on paying for it, and he said no, he would do it. You guys have a wonderful evening, and I'm sure you guys have helped millions. You've just helped me with that Patrick call.
And I got 6 calls right after I spoke with you.
Yay.
And 3 people are going to help me.
Oh, fantastic.
And especially meet with FEMA on Wednesday morning. Unbelievable.
You are
and
welcome.
I bet you if you walk along the streets, your little old angel wings are going to flap all over.
I just want to say God bless each and every one of you guys at that station. I've listened to you guys at 12 o'clock midnight, 4 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
We're here.
I really appreciate you guys being there. And all these people that are out here working in our streets and trying to get our power restored. You guys are doing a fabulous job. I've met tree trimmer people. I've met, power and light kind of people, just everybody, and I really appreciate it. And I know our community does too.
So, recollecting on the experience of Hurricane Francis, Marky, how did it disrupt your life?
Well, it was was a major inconvenience for sure. I mean, you know, where we were staying, of course, the power was out there for the whole time we were there. That was always, you know, a whole lot of fun, which is great. You know, when the hurricane's blowing on, I mean, if there's lots and lots of cool breeze and rain and everything else, but afterwards it's like there's just not even a breath of air to be had. Still as anything, and then of course the sun comes back out. It's hot, it's muggy, you sweat, and of course there's no power, so no fans, no nothing. Yeah, so it was kind of an inconvenience that way.
And how did it feel seeing your daughter again after those few days?
Actually, yeah, it was good. You know, I mean, they were kind of scooting around trying to miss the hurricane and all that stuff, so that was cool. So they were all scooting along when it was going up to Tampa. They hauled butt down to Naples, and then when it actually went through Tampa, then they came from Naples back here. So it was good. We all just kind of missed everything. It was good.
Was it an experience you'd care to repeat again?
As long as it wasn't any worse, yeah.
Frances continues her crawl at 5 or 6 miles an hour.
There are 600 trucks of water, 237 trucks of ice.
We may need 1,000 trucks for this one.
The winds now have picked up again.
A lot of power lines down, a few power poles down.
God forbid, there may be people that lose their lives.